see here. He turned away from the jury and motioned to the guard placed at the rear of the room. I would like to call the Indian known as David to the stand. Heads turned as a small olive-colored man. Alright? That's what I'm reading from. So the Indian was olive-colored. Can we look at ooh, this right here. Sorry about that. Fun dinner party facts. There are no green olive trees. The color of an olive is an indication of its ripeness. Green olives ripen and become black olives, or rather, they transform from green to light brown to a vibrant red and purple to the darkest black. Wow, my dyslexia is showing up. Sorry about that. Read that backwards. When I read that, it reminded me of the Minquez, right? Again, the Minquez, when you read the Encyclopedia of Pennsylvania Indians, I believe it's the third volume, it explains that the Minquez were from the west, on the west coast of America. But the only reason that they were here in the east, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, was because their enemies were in the west. And I believe it's because their enemies made their way to the Americas through the way of the Indian Ocean into the Pacific Ocean and into this part of the Americas this way, not the Atlantic. The way I believe that when you're reading about King Solomon and them, and when they were going to get the cedar trees of Lebanon, it would take them 6 months to sail to where they were going and 6 months to sail back. And I cannot think of the brother's name. That one brother who, he's always calling everybody, traitors, Negroes and stuff like that. And I can't think of his name. I can hear his voice in my head. But he was trying to explain that the origins of the Aztecs and the Mayans and how they connect back to the Egyptians and to the Dogon. But he's got a video where he illustrates how the Egyptians could sail and navigate the Pacific Ocean to the Americas, leaving Egypt by riding the currents from Africa to Australia and then to the Americas, because the current would flow one way for 6 months out of the year and it would reverse and go back for the next 6 months. So you could just ride it one way and wait until the shifts, and then you could ride it back. And that doesn't take much navigational skills, the way he was breaking it down. And it reminded me of King Solomon, because if you ever look where they try to tell you Palestine is today and where Lebanon is sitting right on top of it, it's like, all right, how did it take you 6 months to sail from, Palestine? Let me see if I can pull it up. From Palestine to, let me see here. That takes 6 months to sail from Palestine to Lebanon. Let me see this. See, how did it take 6 months to sail from here to here? When the one brother was explaining that they were leaving Egypt over here, and it would take them 6 months to sail to he didn't say to America, but to Egypt, to Australia and to other parts here. But I'm wondering, in my mind, could you go ahead and sail here for 6 months and then sail back? But either way, I believe that, like I said, when you're reading about the Minquez, and they were known as being black and blue, the Minquez were known as being black Minquez and blue Minquez, that's what they were talking about, the olive color of their skin. Go back and look up the Australian Shepherd, and they'll show you, the Australian Shepherd. They'll show you that they originate somewhere in Spain, and that the Spanish brought them to America through the way of the Pacific Ocean. But then they try to tell us that they invaded through the way of the Atlantic, which we know about the names of the Atlantic and the Pacific, one meaning peaceful, the other one meaning rough waters, and so on and so forth. Let me see, let's get out of there. And I noticed when I was in the Christian church, I always heard that Jesus was olive-colored skin. But, according to that, or we read back there is no olive-colored people that would have the appearance of this. That's just something they've used to steal so it can cover the identity of the people who would have lived along the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean Sea there. Because there is no olives that look like this. From what it said, they start out green and they darken to brown. A light brown, it said, to a darkest blacks. Some are red. This still looks like he's lacking in pigmentation if he's trying to be olive colored, in my opinion. But I thought about this too, olive color. Let me see here. There was something else I found. Oh yeah, here it is. So Deuteronomy 28, and I know I'm jumping to this, but Deuteronomy 28, right? We've all known about it, we've all heard about it, we've probably all read this before. Let me see. Get out of 15. Somebody's on there, 15. There we go. The curses that are brought upon you and so on and so forth for the disobedience of the Creator and profaning His holy name. First and foremost, calling Him by different names that weren't His name. And then on top of that, not observing His laws and ordinances and covenants while we were on the land, and defiling the land there, But I found this when I was looking for the Jayhawks. What is a Jayhawk? I'm not from Kansas, I'm not from those places. The only reason I even familiar with the name was because of, college basketball. I thought, what the heck's a Jayhawk? And I found this while I was searching for it. Now this is a free, and I'm gonna do my best to remember to put this in the description box. It's free to download this, all right? It says, remember that the enemy you engage has no feelings of mercy or kindness towards you. Doesn't that remind you of Deuteronomy 28, where the king of the north will come against you and he'll have what does he say? He'll have no respect for the elderly or the young, right? His ranks are made up of Pen. I'm not sure what a Pen Indian is. Pen Indians, free Negroes, Southern Tier Kansas Jayhawkers, and hired Dutch cutthroats. These bloody ruffians have invaded our country. And that's where, like I said, when you're reading Deuteronomy 28 and the word thy, see this? And all thy land which the Lord thy God will give to thee. And that's where, when I kept watching everybody else do these, Deuteronomy 28 videos, and they keep showing thy land, the slave, transatlantic slave, and so on and so forth, I kept saying, wait a minute. After I went and read it myself, read Deuteronomy 28, there's something wrong with that. Because it keeps saying this will happen to you in your own land. While you're in your land, your children will be taken from you. Look here. May thy sons and thy daughters be given to another people. Thy eyes looking on. Look, watch this. Get back here. Where does it say there? It even goes up to that. It says, stolen and destroyed. Where is it? The refugees have invaded your country, stolen and destroyed your prophets, murdered your neighbors, outraged your women, given your children from your, let's see, what did it say? Driven your children from their homes. Driven your children from their homes. May thy sons and thy daughters be given to another people. So, and I'm pretty sure I'm doing a bad job illustrating what my mind's trying to say, but I mean, I could see it. When I was reading that, I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds like a description of Deuteronomy 28. Let me see here. I'm gonna start back over here. Where I left off with the Dutch cutthroats. These bloody ruffians have invaded your country, stolen and destroyed your property, murdered your enemies, outraged your women, driven your children from your homes, and defiled the graves of your kindred. If each man of you will do what I have heard, HERE, urged upon you, we will utterly destroy them. We can do this. We must do it. Our country will be ruined if we fail. A just God will strengthen our armies and give us a victory, a glorious victory. But I think at this point in time, we were going through the part there in Lamentation where he said, I will shut up the heaven and I will not hear your prayers. When you go through this, you're going to cry up to him and go on and so forth. I believe that this is the time where he says he's going to have to turn away because, you wouldn't listen to him. Now you're going to go through this. So when you come out of it, you'll never long for any other gods. You'll never long for another king. You'll never long for anything. You will know what it was like, and you will remind your descendants from here on out as a witness that you've seen what it was like. You know what you got yourself out of, and you know why you only want the Creator and his righteousness. Because man can be corrupted. I'm not saying all men and women are. That's not what I'm saying. I don't like to generalize like that. But I'm saying that without a man and woman constantly checking themselves every single day, corruption can creep in. It can seem harmless, and you could be corrupt. I'm not saying we're just meant to be evil. That's not true. I've seen people that, to me, I just couldn't imagine them doing evil constantly, Then there's those that do. So I don't know how to put it into words. I just don't imagine that it's just in our nature that every single day we're just here to do evil. And I just, when I read the Old Testament, I feel that that's the way the Creator looks at it. Otherwise he would ask you to do what? A sacrifice for atonement, a sacrifice for trespassing and all those every single day, right? And instead it's only certain times out of the year that'll ask you to do these things. Unlike, Christianity, where it's like the way they read it is, if you slipped up once, you slipped up and you've committed all sins, and now you're just downright wicked. Read the Old Testament. The Creator don't even make it seem that way. Or otherwise, he would tell you, every time you sin, kill an animal, bake a cake, do these things to atone for your sin every single day. Every time you slip up. And he's just not that way. But I thought these things might be interesting. I'm going to leave this in the description box. Take care, everybody.